All right, everybody, thanks for joining in. We are finally back to. Well, I'm not going to say that we're. I'm not going to say that we're finally back to full-on horror. I don't think the movie that we're covering today necessarily. Actually, neither of the movies that we're covering this recording session. You could classify them as horror movies, but you could classify them as other stuff as well. But we're done with our action sci-fi hunk. I know you guys sat through. Hopefully, you guys sat through a bunch of Stallone, Schwarzenegger themed episodes, and then we had a couple of Star Wars episodes in there as well. Alice Cooper, which I guess Alice Cooper kind of counts as horror, but
and Tiffany.
Well, the Tiffany, we had some horror stuff in there between Tiffany and.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I think we had 6 episodes in a row that weren't horror related. So
sorry, everybody. Sometimes we veer off the beaten path.
Hey, you know what? It's our show. We'll do whatever the hell we want, unless everybody stops listening. Then we'll go back to the old way. But this episode, we're going back to the heyday of horror movies and. Going back to the late 80s, 1988 to be exact, which is kind of weird because when you watch this movie, you're like, this came out in 88? That doesn't seem right.
I had no idea this movie came out in 88.
Seems like it was 20 years after you thought it came out, probably.
My gosh, had no idea. Okay.
So we are talking about 1988's Robo Vampire.
And if you're going to watch Robo Vampire, I suggest a few things here. You get yourself some beer, and you get yourself some popcorn. And make sure you have lots of it, because you're going to need every bit of it to enjoy this film to its fullest.
Yeah, so this movie is one of those that I knew nothing about. I'd never heard of this movie before, and then in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, somebody had posted, a couple of weeks ago, randomly, hey, I'm checking this thing out tonight, any fans? And people were like, oh, I love that movie, and it was just this weird picture of what looked like RoboCop strangling, some weird, Japanese monk thing guy. I'm not even sure how to explain it, but it looked like RoboCop on the thing. To me, I'm sure it looked like RoboCop to you as well. And
it did.
I was like, oh, that sounds, or I should say that sounds, I was like, that looks awesome. I'm going to check that out. And so immediately I texted you. I'm like, here's my pick for the next session. And you're like, cool. And I got to say that, and I want to see what your opinion is on this, because I'm sure if this exact thing didn't cross your mind, once I say it, you're going to be like, oh, you're right. So what's the biggest disappointment? When you were watching Halloween 4, and then Michael Myers finally came on screen, and you're like, what the fuck is that mask? That's not what it was on the poster.
I can go a step further.
Okay.
This movie, in terms of not the poster art, but I get whatever, I guess we could call it poster art, whatever that, that we both looked at before watching the film, had a very similar feeling that I had a few episodes back with Slash Dance, where you looked at the cover and like, oh, I bet you this is going to be a great movie. And then you go and you watch it and you're like, it is nothing like what I expected it to be. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, I was going to say, because, it looks like RoboCop on the cover.
Right.
And then you get 3/4 of the way through the movie, and then this thing comes out, and you're like, oh, I think that's the thing that was supposed to be on the cover. That looks like somebody just took some aluminum foil and wrapped himself up in it.
Yeah, it was definitely the effects were. I think low budget is giving them a too high of a credit here. This was they really scrounged together some, like you said, aluminum foil and some maybe some. They got some packets from McDonald's, ketchup packets for the fake blood, and like, hey, let's decide we're going to make a movie.
Oh man, it was now. We haven't talked about this at all. And this is how we do it on here. If you guys are longtime listeners of the show, if it's a movie that we didn't grow up watching, unless we've seen it together, we don't really converse about opinions about it. So I'm pretty sure that I have a good feeling of how each one of us are going to go on this one. But I will say, you kind of already alluded to it in your opening. This is definitely a beer and popcorn movie for sure. And I had no idea what I was getting into when I started this movie. And it's so ridiculous and so over the top that it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. But at the same time, you have no idea what the hell is going on. But you're like laughing, or I was anyway. I was like laughing and stuff, and I was like, "What? That's hilarious! Oh my god, that's so great!" And it's just so cheesy and just so over the top.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that you didn't know what was going on, because I was hoping if we dissect this plot, like you were going to lead the way, because I really still am struggling fully to understand what the plot was of this movie.
Oh, and I uncovered something today, which we'll get into in a little bit, which made me feel better because when this movie ended, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, end credits. And then I rewound it a little bit, and I was like, oh, nope, I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right, I guess that was the movie.
That was it.
That was kind of, and it was one of those things where you're sitting there like, well, okay. But I will say that from the moment it started till the moment it was over, it's one of these movies where you can kind of do other stuff while it's on and come back to it, and you're not really missing anything. But you can watch it and pay attention to the screen the entire time, and then it gets over, and you're kind of like, wait, what? That? Okay, cool. But at the same time, it was completely and 100% totally enjoyable. I mean, I had a great time watching this movie, so I'm going to put that out there right away. I will say that this, even though I said earlier on that it doesn't really classify as a horror movie, I think it does for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mean, it has vampire in the title, so I think that right away, kind of puts it as a somewhat of a horror movie. And then
movie right there at that point.
But it's also like, I mean, vampire's in the title, but it's like this weird like zombie / vampire / kung fu movie. It's kind of all over the place, but my favorite part of the movie was you could tell that the actors were speaking in English, but it had like this bad overdub job done to it. So like the words didn't quite match up to the lips. And I don't know if that was done on purpose to make it kind of seem like an actual kung fu movie, but it kind of, when I first started watching it, I saw that I was like, oh, are they doing that on purpose? Or is that genius, or is that just laziness?
I don't think it was on purpose. I think it was probably incredible laziness. Oh, that's my opinion. Yeah. Another thing we got to mention is the monster itself, or whatever. I mean, the jumping around. Did you like that weird like vampire creature that would come out and like, it had like the zombie thing going on where he had his arms up straight at you and then would jump.
Like, yeah, he was like hopping around.
That's right. Yeah, so weird. Yeah, it was definitely a weird movie. It was like, yeah, it was kind of like basically like a kung fu movie or something, which kind of, surprised me. So I thought it'd be more like a sci-fi thing, but it was really kind of like a, kung fu / horror film. Like they kind of tried to mix the two together.
And the thing that I found out today, which actually makes a lot of sense after I watched it, was because when I was trying to do a little bit of research after the fact on it, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, so what exactly was the storyline?
Did you figure it out?
No, because this movie is one of those. I mean, it's a super low budget movie. You're probably not going to find it on Blu-ray or DVD somewhere. I mean, you might find it at like a horror convention in one of those places, like, you know, me and you see them all the time, where they have like hundreds of DVDs and like 3/4 of the ones they have are bootlegs. So you might find it someplace like that. I don't know if it ever actually got released on DVD or Blu-ray, but there's not like a Wikipedia page for it or anything. But supposedly, Robo Vampire is actually 2 different low-budget movies that were edited together to make the one movie.
Oh my gosh!
So that would explain like the weird, like, because you're like, wait, what? Nope. I have no idea what's going on.
That makes a lot of sense now.
And the film is this. It turns out that this is like one of those like ultra bad movies, kind of like Troll 2 or The Room, that is kind of has a cult following for it being such a bad movie. It's one of those movies that it's so bad, it's kind of good. Like Troll 2 or, well, like The Room, both of those movies that I kind of use as examples. Those are the movies you can watch. And I mean, if you're like wanting to see a serious movie, that's not going to happen. But if you're just like, you know what, I want to chuckle a little bit, I'm going to throw this movie on, and you just laugh at how bad the movie is. And that's what this is.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's also known for its terrible special effects, which we were kind of joking about, the bad dubbing, and the complete and utter lack of coherency throughout the movie.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that, because I had no idea what the hell we were watching. So it was a background movie. It was like, what are we watching? Oh, what's going on? Oh, there's that thing. Oh, they're fighting. Now there's like a priest and there's a drug deal going on. And what's going on here? Yeah, I was completely lost the entire time. So I'm glad you're explaining it to me. But, you know, these kind of movies are actually kind of fun, too. You gotta take them for what they are. I mean, if you go into this movie thinking you're going to see like, the next Oscar award-winning film, you're going to be pretty disappointed. So, I mean, this film is basically just stupid fun. It's like low budget, bad filmmaking, and there's kind of an art almost to bad filmmaking, where you can kind of enjoy it for what it is. And I mean, it seemed like a movie too that would have easily popped up on Mystery Science Theater, which I still am a big fan of that show.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or even like the old Joe Bob, like Monster Vision and stuff. I could see this like creeping in, like under there,
There you go. Right.
Or even, I mean, honestly, like probably not like Svengoolie, but yeah, I mean, to take even, I mean, Mystery Science Theater is one thing, but to take like Joe Bob's name out of it completely, this would be a movie that I could definitely see on any existing horror host that's out there. Because, I think me and you had talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on the air or not, but you have a lot of these small markets that still have like horror hosts that are on the local like access cable channel.
Right.
Because like Kenosha, Wisconsin still has one. I know there's a couple of places in Indiana that still has like a horror host, like that's just local to that like one station. But now the thing is too, there's a couple of them that are even on. Well, he's actually from Indiana, but his name is Sammy Terry, and he does his horror hosting like Friday nights, but he does it like on Facebook Live. And then what's cool about that is if you miss it on Friday, then you can like go back and watch it like on Saturday or Sunday or 6 months from now, because it's like in his feed.
Okay.
But this is the kind of movie I would expect to see like something on that. It's super low budget, but at the same time, it's fun. It was. I
It
mean,
is.
it was so ridiculous. It's like, oh man.
You can really enjoy it for what it is. Again, it's one of those films that you got to go into it knowing what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, I think that, you know what, beer and popcorn film, yes, but also I think, like you said, I think another category we've used in the past is the horror host, and I think this would be a good film to put into a horror host, episode so it breaks it up a little bit, so you're not just watching the film.
Yeah, and you know what I would love to see with this is, because they all do it, is when they come in on the breaks, they kind of try to explain stuff that's not necessarily obvious to you as a viewer. Maybe it's your first time watching and you're like, oh, what just happened? And then they come in and like, okay, so, Susie went over here and she did this to make Johnny feel better about that. And so like, oh, okay, that makes sense or whatever. I would love to hear a horror host try to explain what's going on in this movie.
That would be great. Or like where the actors are now and that kind of thing.
Oh,
or,
man.
How that'd be incredibly cool.
Because especially when you have somebody like a Joe Bob, who's like just a giant film nerd to begin with, and he always knows like all these really weird things about everything. Like him to come in this movie, he'd be like, you know what? I have no idea what the fuck happened in that last scene. So, hey Darcy, let's see your cleavage a little bit more.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Well, I'll go ahead and say that I give this movie, you know what? I give it a thumbs up. I mean, like I said, I had a pretty good time watching this movie. I think this is definitely a movie that, aside from the beer and popcorn, this would be something you could definitely watch in a group setting. And this is one of those ones where if you have people that aren't necessarily horror fans, or if you're just like, you have a few people over and you're having a couple drinks or something and, people are like, hey, can we throw something on? Something maybe a little funny, maybe something that we don't really have to pay attention to kind of just have on in the background. You could throw this on and people turn around and see these weird zombie vampire things hopping around like bunnies and like, what the hell is going on? We're over there.
Right. No, absolutely. I agree. So I'm going to go with you on this. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's just a cheese ball background, background to your beer kind of thing. So grab some cheap beer, some cheap popcorn, and, do your own horror hosting with it. Stop the film halfway through and say, hey, I checked on Wikipedia and, this is what this guy's up to now. He's like, he's doing like he's working at a car wash in Japan somewhere or something like that. It's just some kind of whatever you want to do, just have fun with it, enjoy it.